We head into early voting week. The crowded primary to determine who will replace outgoing Congressman Steny Hoyer is heating up. Hoyer has thrown his endorsement behind his former campaign manager, Adrian Boafo. Now, today, Maryland Senator Chris Van Hollen announced what he called a flood of outside spending into the race to benefit Boafo.
I want to alert voters in Maryland's 5th congressional district about the flood of outside special interest super PAC money that is coming into that district in support of one candidate, Adrian Boafo.
But now, as Boafo emerges as a front-runner in the pack of more than 20 candidates, he's facing other questions about his ties to big tech. Tracee Wilkins and the News 4 I-Team sat down with Boafo this week and unpack what the questions are all about. Tracee?
Well, Jim, in an interview earlier this week, Adrian Boafo told us he denounces super PAC spending and says he is fighting for regulation to protect consumers in the crypto space. But we also asked him about his day job as a federal lobbyist for a major tech firm and concerns some have about what it could mean if he wins this congressional seat. By now, you may have seen these political ads featuring key endorsements from Congressman Steny Hoyer, Maryland Governor Wes Moore, and U.S. Senator Angela Alsobrooks.
I'm Adrian Boafo, and I approve this message.
At just 32 years old, Adrian Boafo was attempting to clear the path in a crowded race for the District 5 U.S. congressional seat. Before running for Congress, Boafo served as Bowie's mayor pro tem and a state delegate. As a freshman lawmaker in Annapolis, he emerged as a strong proponent of tech legislation.
My first year up there, we did the Kids Code Bill, which really protects Maryland's kids around the issues of the internet. And so I understand the tech industry very well.
But it's that expertise that now has some raising questions about his ties to big tech. For the past 5 years, Boafo has worked for Oracle, a tech giant led by billionaire Larry Ellison that offers software, cloud infrastructure, and data management products to the private sector and government.
So my job is to really have relationships with Democrats on the Hill. Mainly and more specifically, it's around education policy.
And you're a lobbyist.
Yeah.
Even if it's not unethical, it's the appearance of impropriety that we try to avoid.
Maryland Delegate C.T. Wilson chaired the Economics Matters Committee that Boafo served on in the state legislature and says he didn't know Boafo lobbied for Oracle on Capitol Hill.
Disclosure is not enough, even if he was to disclose that. It's what you do, as far as in Annapolis, I think that matters, because you're not supposed to be, voting on or introducing legislation that could benefit the people that pay you.
Put simply, blockchain is a decentralized digital ledger that records transactions across networks of computers in a secure and transparent way.
Wilson says now he questions some of the tech-related legislation Boafo sponsored, including a bill to study the use of blockchain technology and property records that passed this year. Oracle offers blockchain products, though Boafo says his Oracle work does not involve blockchain. When you were discussing these bills, should you have said, I know what I'm talking about here because I work in the tech industry, I work for Oracle?
I'm pretty sure I've said that in the past at different moments. On the issue of blockchain, I wouldn't have said that because, again, the work I do for Oracle doesn't involve anything that we're doing with blockchain.
Oracle CEO and other top executives have donated more than $30,000 to Boafo's campaign, according to FEC reports.
A lot of these folks are my coworkers that I work with a lot who have decided, like any other American or like the thousands of other people in my community, to help contribute to our campaign.
He's faced questions from other candidates and government watchdogs about his work with Oracle in recent weeks. Maryland law requires lawmakers to disclose whether their employers hold state contracts. Boafo had reported working for Oracle on his state disclosures, but last month, WAMU first reported that just before filing to run for Congress, he amended his state disclosures to include that Oracle had state contracts and that he received $300,000 in stock bonuses over multiple years. He says he's since sold the stocks and used the funds to buy a home. The State Ethics Commission told WAMU there was generally no penalty for such amendments.
When you realize there's a mistake, you're supposed to go back and fix it. And so during that November period of last year, I realized, I had a mistake on my disclosure.
Boafo said he maintains a firewall between his private sector and public service life. We asked him what that meant.
It means that I can't lobby the state side at Oracle. It's both an internal rule that we came up with when I first got elected to the city council and a rule that I adhere to in the state of Maryland.
It's very concerning when you see a lobbyist go to Congress as a member of Congress, because they're going to have influence on legislation.
David Williams, president of the Taxpayers Protection Alliance, said it's unusual for lobbyists to enter Congress instead of the other way around. While there is a 2-year cooling off period for former legislators who pursue lobbying, there isn't one for a lobbyist seeking office on the Hill.
The rules need to be changed to make sure that there is a time between you being a lobbyist and you assuming office, and that time should be at least 4 to 5 years.
We asked Boafo how he would approach tech-related legislation if he's elected to Congress this fall.
The same way that I have in Annapolis, right? I've been the guy who's called for some of these tech companies to pay their fair share. And so for a lot of these issues, we need federal frameworks in place, and that's what I'm going to do in Washington.
Boafo also told us that if he wins the primary later this month, he plans to resign from Oracle, but didn't say exactly when. And in response to Van Hollen's comments today, Boafo told us he agrees that big money has no place in politics. Boafo said if elected, he'll work with Van Hollen to overturn Citizens United, the Supreme Court decision that ruled political spending by corporations is protected by free speech. We reached out to the Maryland Ethics Commission about some of these concerns, and it said that all matters before the Ethics Committee are confidential. They also said that if the House of Delegates reprimanded or censured a delegate, that report and resolution would be posted on the Maryland General Assembly's website. No such reports or resolutions are posted for Delegate Boafo. We also reached out to the Oracle Corporation for their comment, but they have not yet responded. I have to tell you, Jim, that during our reporting, we talked with delegates who said we had no idea he worked for Oracle. Right. It was in his disclosures, but people weren't going back and looking at the disclosures. I asked him about that because, you know, in Annapolis, people are supposed to have day jobs, but most folks know who the doctors are. They know who the lawyers are, but these were people who were saying we didn't know he worked for Oracle, and we definitely didn't know that he was a lobbyist, a federal lobbyist for Oracle. And I asked him, were you keeping this a secret of some kind? And he said, no. You know, as you saw in the piece, he mentioned, I think I've mentioned it, you know, from time to time. I don't know. But just a lot of questions about all of this and why these PACs are now supporting him the way that they are. And that is what Van Hollen was bringing attention to. His campaign pushing back, saying, look, we're not asking these PACs to do this, and we don't know because we're not communicating with them.
Interesting that you pointed out in the piece, too. It's common that we see people from the Hill go into lobbying, but the reverse is rare.
Yeah, it is very rare, and I think that there are going to be quite a few folks who are taking a look at this and what it could mean, because, yeah, really serious questions about there not being a cooling off period. And so what happens next?
All right. Thanks for shining a light on this. We learned a lot. Tracee, thanks so much.
Sure, Jeff.